And I think that this could be, we can see kind of how diseased these individuals are, but that it's connected to something that's been part of the establishment for a long time and has been empowered, and it is empowered.
Yeah.
And because it's children, I think it can really put people kind of in fight mode, that, you know, in the way that, you know, we have to protect the new life. That's Aries, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with you. I think it's and not just there, but with how they're coming after the children through the pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
That's disturbing too. And the food. So it can be really overwhelming when you look at it all.
Yeah.
And my strategy is to come back to myself and to make sure that I get some peace in the day so that I can kind of fortify myself.
Right.
So yesterday I went and sat under some of my favorite trees, and I sat on the ground with my cats and things like that. And because I think there's so much compelling news that it can really, that's another thing. You can just be like, what's going to happen next? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what stupid thing is Herman Cain going to say next? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so blatant. The things they say are just, I guess, it's just all out there for us to see.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it feels like, you know, that the threads are starting to show on reality and have been for a while. You know, like, I don't know whether you caught this thing with Netanyahu. It was actually Sarkozy and Obama. It was like the G20 conference. I think it was about a week and a half ago. And basically, Sarkozy cracked on Netanyahu, says he's a liar. You know, he lies all the time. And they caught him on camera. And Obama said, well, I've got to put up with him all the time. You know, so it was really interesting. It was like, here you have kind of an insight and an aside into these, you know, quote unquote global leaders. And, you know, Netanyahu's a Scorpio. And you know, Israel is a very powerful country in terms of its military might and its lobbying impact. So for them to be caught on camera actually saying this, you know, about Netanyahu,
mm-hmm.
That really interesting for me. I mean, that's not something I don't think they staged, right? It wasn't like, hey, let's give people, you know, something, you know, a spectacle to look at. I think it was kind of a real gaffe.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was fascinating to see that these people are not always aligned and unified as we think they are.
Yeah, well, there's so much at stake, too. It's strange to hear them talking, you know, like you would at a cocktail party. But maybe they just, I don't know how much power Obama has, you know, to control. Don't they have they're saying we'll make war by stealth, and I think he's a little bit out of his depth dealing with someone like that, or Putin, who also seems to me, I know he's not a Scorpio, but he's got a Scorpio rising, and it's just and we're getting to see all of that, just who they are. You know, maybe that's the internet. Everything's out there. You can't hide who you really are. So you have to be someone with integrity, right? That's the Earth sign thing too. Your power comes through having ethics that people can respond to.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. Let's go. Let's play a little game here. Let's go through each house, okay? And let's just talk about how Mars and Virgo would impact each house. Okay, so let's say you're an Aries rising. Mars. Well, let's just talk about Mars in the first house. Let's just talk Mars and Virgo first house. What's your take on that?
Get rid of things. I think it'd be great for organizing the closet and accessorizing yourself, and presenting yourself. Looking at how you present yourself. Does it make the impact you want? What fine tuning you can make with that? Being precise with your actions. I think, for an athlete, it might give them some dexterity, and people with Aries rising might be drawn to sports. Being able to assist. Not needing to seeing the value in serving the goals of someone else. Right.
So being of service, real active, dynamic service. What about health? Good time for a exercise regime, getting your health in order with Mars in the first house?
I think so, definitely. And maybe doing things that don't have the patience otherwise, to something that you have to get into a rhythm and kind of getting into the zone there, not being as bored, maybe having more staying power with that. Mm-hmm. So I think it could help an Aries first house, which actually is me, partly,
right.
And sometimes I do have a hard time sticking with something, and making sure that it feels like you're sending it out in the world fully finished. So refining, putting finishing touches on something.
Right.
Editing.
Yes, it can be very good for it. What about Mars' second house? Let's say Mars is transiting your second house. What's your take on that?
Well, of course, budgeting, and being more efficient with your budget, maybe cutting back things that you just aren't using. How about selling things that you don't use, making a little money that way? I think it could be good for bartering, working out. I do that with a few people, and it's really, you have to come up with your what you're offering, your value. Is it fair? Dealing with your anything where you think you've kind of cut corners or haven't been completely ethical. I think that you could right the situation there. It could be good for construction or building up the structure of anything, like a book or a painting or
something
furniture.
Solid. Tangible stuff. What about Mars third? I mean, if somebody had Mars going through their third house, should they, classically that'd be like, kind of watch your ass while you're driving and pay attention and all that stuff. I mean, what do you see with Mars in the third?
Yeah, that's true. You could be very critical out in the world, I guess. You might want to watch that. I think, though, it could be, you could see needs that people have in your neighborhood or your schoolmates or your brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles. That's third house. And help them make their lives better and be part of your community. Have the patience to be part, not need to stand out, but work toward something that you're creating right there locally. It could be good to go on a spa retreat, short spa retreat.
Yeah.
I think it could be, it'd be good for writing too.
I was thinking writing too.
Yeah, physical, staying with it and being able to have the editor side of it come in. Even book binding or something like that, and making your own book.
Right. What about
the crafty stuff? Okay, you want to move on to the 4th?
Yeah, let's go to the 4th, because I know you've only got you wanted to be on for an hour, and I kind of wanted to go around the wheel. What about Mars in the 4th? Traditionally, a little agitated in the home, especially with Virgo being nervous. Let's say somebody's got Mars going to the 4th house. What would be a good strategy for them to work with that in a positive way?
Yeah, well, I think it'd be a great time to create quiet so you can hear yourself in the home. That's a great way to, a lot of people keep their TV on in the background. I think it'd be good to have more time to unwind because, you're going to, maybe it's a chance to, if there's a lot of nervous energy, connect it to your goal, maybe set up a craft table or a studio space to work. Maybe it's a good time for some to make their workspace in their home. I think it could be really productive for things like visiting family that give you a sense of your roots.
What about stuff like canning? What about canning and smoking, drying stuff out for future days? Yeah,
I think all those homesteading arts, for sure, because maybe we're looking at here, we didn't really talk about the extreme. There's all these, at this point anything could happen, and Shandor and I have been working toward more self-sufficiency for sure. And there's so many resources for a lot of people are doing this, and it does give you a sense of satisfaction. I still like my technology, but all those, finding mushrooms, finding indigenous herbs. We found a moss that you can use as an antibiotic. The other thing is a lot of traditional. Talk to family about what they grew, what they know to do. You might have to go back to if you have living grandparents or something like that. But go ahead.
No. I was just kind of riffing. Maybe that'd be a good way for people to get in touch with traditions. Very 4th house kind of stuff, for sure.
Yeah, and emotionally, Virgo to me is such a healing sign, healing the ancestral line, although it's very, it can take us through a lot of shadowy, uncomfortable places. Sometimes I think of Virgo as uncomfortable, and just because everything's felt so acutely. And I think when we look at this Mars Virgo, it really, you could see how it could bring a lot of aggravation